Hello friends, welcome to Sreenath. Today's topic is 8th class biology, first chapter CBSE, and the chapter name is crop production and management. Okay, coming to crop production and management, basically we talk about the production of the crop and the management in this particular chapter. And coming to this particular chapter, it's about the agricultural fields where we will be getting the food for our daily needs. So whatever the population, the vast population of country what we are holding now, the entire population has been fed by the agriculture fields which are providing the food, that is in the form of crop. So basically we will be going through the glance of all the particular chapter, the entire part of the chapter with divided into different topics. So basically the first one is about the agriculture introduction, which we discussed just now, and coming to the second, the part of this is the agricultural practices. Basically the crop is nothing but any plantation which is grown on a large scale is generally called as crop. So in a country like India, which is a very vast country, there is a very differences in case of climate and moisture, rain conditions, and the climatic condition. They are very much difference in the every part of the whatever the conditions of the environment which we are growing, like humidity, temperature, and also rainfall. So based on that vastness of the country, basically because of the diversity and also in case of crop and also in the climate, so basically we will have two different kind of crops. Basically one is the Kharif crop system and the Rabi crop. Kharif crop is not Kharif crop is nothing but it is generally between the June to September, and another one is from the October to the March, that is the Rabi crop. So these are the two different patterns of crops which are generally seen in case of India. And basically when you are discussing about the agricultural practices, there are some basic things which you have to keep in mind, and one is the basic practices which are involved in case of whatever the cropping or whatever the agricultural practices are there. One is the preparation of the soil, that is the ploughing. It is done by the ploughing where it can be done as a traditional way with the bulls, or it can be done with kind of any tractor which is called as which is used for the ploughing purpose. So one is the preparation of soil. Next one is the sowing. Sowing is not after the soil has been prepared, the seeds will be sown in the field of a respective crop, so that they can be grown and the yield can be obtained. And finally we will go with the addition of manure and the fertilizers. It's because it's in case of crops, basically we are not leaving the crops for the basic of nature. So whatever we are providing, the care and the protection and also the addition of manure and the fertilizer is much needed for the crop to grow in a better way. Okay, and next we'll coming to irrigation. Basically the irrigation is the part where the water is provided to the cropping area, or the crop will be provided with the water. Basically if there is no shortage of water, the water can be provided in different terms, like it can be provided with the wells and also the ponds. Whatever the wells and the ponds are there, those will be providing the water in case of when there is an abundance of water by means of water channels, and that is the irrigation part. And coming to the irrigation part, we will be discussing about the sprinklers and also dripping system. Sprinklers and dripping system are basically used in the place where there is a very dry and shortage of water. So basically the irrigation is done in the different means, depending upon the season and the type of crop which we are growing, the type of soil and type of the season in which we are growing. That is the needs of the soil and the needs of the crop is much needed for the irrigation part. And coming to the protection from the weeds, basically the weeds or the plants which will be basically they are undesirable part of the plant, and it should be taken care so that they can be removed from the main crop or the main cropping system, so that the whatever the main crop or the crop is there, that will be grown undisturbedly, and the weedicides like 2,4-D, The weedicides are nothing but the chemical agents which will be spraying on the crop, and this will be very effectively killing the weeds apart from leaving the crops. And coming to the weedicides, they are mostly they are available in the markets in different ranges. And the next topic is the harvesting. Basically, when the completion of the maturation of the crop is done, then the crop will be when it reaches a certain age and a certain time, the completion of the crop will be decided with the harvesting of the crop, depending upon the what kind of plantation it is. So harvesting is done manually by the sickle, or it can be done by means of harvester in case of people. And after the harvesting is done, basically whatever the process, after the harvesting, the grain or the edible part will be isolated from the plant part. So that is called as threshing. Threshing is the process where the edible parts, for example, the seeds and the pulses and the seeds and whatever the grains are there, they have been harvested, they have been separated from the entire plant part. That is the threshing. There's a very advanced kind of machines where they will cut down the crop, that is they will do the harvesting as well as threshing will be done, and that is called as combi. Okay, and the small farmers which are there on the farm fields, basically they uses the machine which is a very manual kind of thing, and this manual will have a rotating drum, that is winnowing. This is useful for removing or separating the plant material from the edible part, and that will be finally collected at the bottom of the drum. So after the everything has been done, that is harvesting is done, the one of the most basic part is the storage. Basically the storage is done before the storage is done. It is the condition where the crop has to be whatever the crop is there, the crop has to be removed. Actually the crop moisture should be removed, and after the removal of the moisture, they should be properly stored in a very proper ventilated and dry environment, so that to avoid the moisture, and also they should be very much protected from the microorganism as well as from the organisms or the pest which will be like rats and rodents. They can eat away the crop. So they are big godowns, and the granaries or the godowns are there. Basically the storage of the crop will be taken place. At the same time, when you are seeing there are some fields or there are some kind of agricultural practices which are linked other than the agriculture, that is the animals which are relevant to the agriculture, or they may be useful, or they are part and parcel of the agriculture. They are like animal husbandry, where the large number or large scale of animals will be grown, and for the meat processing, milk processing, and also obtaining different kind of useful kind of substances which can be used basically in all kind of categories in our day-to-day life. So that is the part of the animal husbandry. And till now we have gone through all the topics in a brief way. Now we will be discussing each and every topic in a very detailed manner about what are the crop production, how it is done, what is the basic elements which are involved in the crop production apart from the and also what is the management which is involved finally in order to get our crop as a into the godowns, and finally it can be supplied to the public or the people of the country. So basically basically the agriculture is the age-old practices. When the person has learned about how to cultivate the crops, it's a very age-old process where the people who stop living as a nomads, they have been concluded at a particular place in order to supply their food habits, or in order to get the food in a particular place. Basically they have been started doing the cultivation of the crops, and that cultivation of crops, the procedure including all kind of practices of the practices of the cropping is called as agriculture. Agriculture is nothing but it will be starting with the preparation of the soil for the plantation, and providing the sowing, that is the adding of the seeds to the plant for the plantation to grow for the land, and basically with the irrigation, and finally it will be ending with the harvesting and the storage. This entire process of plantation cropping system is called as agriculture basically, and the practices which are involved as a part of the agriculture is called as agricultural practices. So what are crops actually? What is the crop? If we see the agricultural fields, the fields will be each field will hold same kind of crops or same kind of plantation to 1 or 2 acres. If they say same kind of plantation in 1 or 2 acres, that kind of plantation is called as crops. So crops is nothing but when you are growing the plants in a very large scale. Okay, when you're growing the plants in a very large scale, basically they are called as crops. Okay, and basically what is crop actually? The crop is nothing but there's a large scale of cultivation of the same kind of plantation is called as crops. So crop is nothing but when you see the fields, agriculture fields, you will be finding same kind of crop will be carried on, or the same kind of crop will be cultivated acres to acres. That kind of same kind of crops which are cultivated together in a very kind of acres together, that is called as crop. So when you are coming, that is the example of crop. So when you see the maize crop, that is nothing but the entire 1-2 acres will be maize crop. When you are seeing the rice crop, that is nothing but generally it is consisting of paddy which is grown for 1 to 2 acres by the farmers. So when you are coming to India is very vast country. So whatever the climatic conditions are there, they are very diverse climatic conditions. They will be diverse from one place to other. There is a very different kind of climate when compared to Hyderabad and the outskirts of the Hyderabad. So that kind of diversity or the differences will be in case of climate when compared to the one area of the country to other area in terms of humidity, moisture, that is the moisture percentage, temperature, and also rainfalls. These are the different factors which will be varying from one part of the country to the other part of the country. And basically based on the diversity in the crop and based on the diversity in the climatic condition and the arrival of the monsoon. Basically monsoon, that is the monsoon season, arrival of the monsoon or the rainfall. Okay, arrival of the monsoon or the rainfall is basically it is the indication for the cropping system or the cropping whatever the cropping we will done basis annually based on the arrival of the monsoon, that will be divided into Kharif season and a Rabi season. Kharif season is the season where basically it will be starting from the June to September, and it is generally the rainy season, and most of the crops which are needed the rain to grow, that is like paddy, maize, soya bean, groundnut, these cotton, they are basically grown in the Kharif. Kharif is the season which will start from the June to September, and basically all the crops which are needed huge amount of water supply for their growth, like groundnut, maize, soya bean, and also paddy, those will be grown in the Kharif. Basically Rabi is the crop where it is the crop which cropping season which will be starting between the October to March. So whatever the Rabi season is there, Rabi season is basically it will be ending of the winter and starting of the summer. So basically the crops which are needed very short or supply of the water, like wheat, grain, peas, and mustard. Okay, the crops which are needed water in a very minute supply, like wheat, gram, and the pea or mustard, these will be grown between the October to March. So whatever the cropping season are there are basically 2 cropping seasons are there. One is Kharif season, another one is the Rabi season. So by the end of this topic, we will try to summarize the basic things. One is what is agriculture. Basically it's about the plantation. It starts with the preparation of the soil. Plantation will be starting with the sowing of the seeds, and this plantation process will be started with the sowing of the seeds, with the preparation of the land and the sowing of the seeds, and also it will be with the irrigation, finally ending with the harvesting and catching up with the storage of the grains. So based on the vast majority of the country is very it's a very vast country with very diverse kind of climate in terms of rainfall, humidity and moisture, as well as in case of whatever the cyclones or the storms which are coming, basically, and the amount of sunlight which is receiving by the crops, basically the cropping system will be divided into Rabi crop and the Rabi crop. Kharif crop and the Rabi crop. Kharif crop is the season between the June to the September, where the plantation which require huge amount of water will be grown, whereas Rabi crops are the crops where the it is done between October to March. Especially the meat, mustard will be grown, which requires very small amount of water for their growth. So while coming to this is the introduction to the agriculture. So there are some basic practices which were done on day-to-day life of the farmer in order to provide us the food and the daily needs for us. He will be doing the agricultural practices on day-to-day basis, so that the population will obtain the food and the population will grow, basically. Okay, coming to the basic practices of the crop production, it is the first one is the soil preparation, that is the preparation of the soil. Basically the first step of the agriculture is the preparation of the soil. That will be done at the starting of the before the starting of the season, or it will be done at the beginning of the season. It requires it will be requiring the soil to be loosen up, as well as when the preparation of soil is nothing but loosening of the soil, as well as it will be like rotating of the soil. So whatever the instrument we are using, that instrument will be involved in removing the soil, whatever the soil is there. Basically the soil, when you are driving the instrument, this instrument which is driven, it will remove the soil particle, it breaks the soil particles, and when it is going in front, whatever the soil is there, that soil will be rotated and it will be falling apart, so that there will be a very good moisture, there will be very good aeration for the new roots which are grown from the plants, as well as when there is a preparation of soil is taking place, the soil which is there, that will be removed by the ploughing machine, and this soil will be rotated and it will be falling apart, so that whatever the insects and the whatever the insects and the weeds which are trying to go, and the insects which are trying to grow, they can be exposed to sunlight, and finally they will be wilted and die, and the insects can be eaten away by the whatever the birds or the other animals can eat away the insects. So this it's also practice where whenever there is a ploughing is taking place, it is for the loosening of the soil, and also to bring the nutrient rich soil which is in the bottom layer to the top layer of the field, so that it will be enriched with the nutrients. So this process of bringing the lower level of the soil to the upper part by means of instruments like ploughing machine or the tiller or the other kind of machines, that is called as tilling or ploughing. So ploughing or tilling is the process. Basically it requires the generally requires the basically the traditional forms and also machinery forms which is involved in the loosening of the soil particles, and also removing the basic ground level of the nutrient rich particles which are the soil is there, that will be brought to the surface, so that the crops can obtain the nutrients very well, or the new plantation or the new seeds can obtain the nutrients in a very better and the proper way. So this will be done in various level, and this kind of process is called as ploughing or tilling. So, and also basically it's very beneficial for the crop, so that the crop can grow very wide and in a very widening pattern or widened pattern, so that they can obtain the nutrients, as well as they can obtain the nutrients, as well as it's very beneficial for the crop, so that whatever the soil which is subjected for the ploughing or tilling, it will be of same level. So while in the process of ploughing or tilling, there is a leveler will be used, so that the entire farmland will be leveled. Okay, and coming to the agricultural practices or agriculture implements which are used as a part of the tilling or ploughing, is the ploughing part. The ploughing is basically, this is the ploughing what we are seeing in the diagram on the screen. Basically it's a very traditional way where the where the bulls or balance on the two sides of the ploughing instrument, and there will be a wooden part. There will be a wooden part which will be very sharp, which is having the ploughing part. This is covered with the metal or the very hard part of the wooden, and this will be creating the ploughing, or it will be creating the narrow ridges, or narrow ridges will be created as the ploughing is going in the field. So basically it is having the plough share as well as plough shaft. Shaft is nothing but which is the whatever the wooden part which is tying to the ox is called as plough shaft, and the whatever the tough part which is which is touching the ground is called as plough share. So with this kind of arrangement, there is a formation of ploughing or the tilling will be taking place in case of plantation process. So the another advanced one is the how. How is nothing but it's a mechanical one. So whatever this handle is there, this handle or the beam or the rod is there, that will be attached to the tractor. This, when you attach this mechanical instrument to the tractor, it is not that will create the same effect as it is created by the traditional ploughing. So this plough which is nothing but the plate, this ploughing plate will create the narrow ridges or a narrow pathway, so that the soil, the lower part of the nutrient rich soil will be taken to the surface of the field. So basically it will be done by advanced instruments like a tractor. Will be nowadays the people who are having very vast agricultural land, they are using the cultivators. So these cultivators which are there, they are tractor driven cultivators. The tractor driven cultivators are basically, they are using the whatever the instrument we are seeing. This is the cultivator. The cultivator is used that is attached to the tractor, so that to save the labor and also time. So whatever the tractor it is driving, the tractor which is driving, which is connected to with the cultivator, this will be involved in ploughing the agricultural lands, so that whatever the soil is there, as we said, that will be exposed to the topmost level, that is providing the nutrients. So basically the first part, that is the preparation of the soil, is nothing but it is the first part in the cropping or plantation. This is the part where we will use the traditional and also some advanced way for ploughing or tilling the soil. Tilling or ploughing the soil is nothing but it is the place, it is the here we will use the traditional as well as the we will use the traditional as well as the some machinery will be used, so that the soil which is there in the agriculture field, it will be ploughed or tilled away, so that the whatever the rich lower part of the soil will be turning to the upper part of the soil. So and also basically it is also useful for removing the weeds, and also it will make the aeration better for the seeds which were sown in the soil, as well as it will be having better removal of the weeds when they are in an early stage before the and we are making ready, so that it will be loosened for the plantation purpose. And there is different practices will be used for the ploughing or tilling process. That is nothing but the ploughing. The ploughing is done by traditional way, where the two bulls are tied with the whatever the plough shaft is there, that is tied to the bulls, and the that will be dragged in such a way that the soil will be loosened, and there is a breakdown of the large particles of the soil, so that the rooting system of the plant can properly penetrated or incorporated into the soil. Hoe is this nothing but it is a mechanical kind of mechanical kind of instrument where there is it has been attached to the tractor, and it's basically it is having the blade at the bottom. This will plow away the soil and it will enrich the soil, the topmost layer, with the nutrient rich soil. And coming to the cultivator, basically in order to save the time and the labor, the tractor will be attached to the cultivator. It is basically it is doing that the work which is done by the ploughing or the ploughing person. The whatever the cultivator is there, that will be driven so that that ploughing will be taken place properly in order to save the labor and the time. So, and we will come to the next portion, that is the sowing. Sowing is nothing but it is the process where it will start exactly with the cropping or the plantation. It is where the plantation and the cropping will be started. So basically in the sowing, generally the seeds, the proper seeds, the seeds which are healthy, the seeds which are very healthy and is good quality and clean. Okay, the good quality, clean and the proper healthy seeds are of proper variety and which plantation you want to do, those seeds will be selected. So in order to the basic this is the in order to select the basically the good crop, good seeds from the mixture of seeds, you will take basically a beaker which is having the water, and the seeds which are useful for the or which you will using for the plantation purpose, make them add to the beaker of water, and the seeds which are sedimented at the bottom, they are very good seeds because they are having the embryo which is heavier, where the seeds which are lying at the surface of the water, basically they are the low quality seeds. So after the farmer has decided what has to be planted or what they have to do for the cropping or the plantation, he will be selecting the seeds which are of good quality, who have taken from the who have the belief from the shopkeeper, the healthy seeds, good quality seeds and the clean one. And for testing of the seed quality, he will take the beaker, and this beaker will be filled with the water, and he will add the seeds onto the into the water chamber. Whatever the seeds which are lying down, they are the good quality seeds, and the seeds which are lying at the surface of the water, they are bad quality or they will lack in the germination part. So basically when coming to the sowing of the seeds or the sowing part, that is the adding the seeds onto the soil, there is a traditional tool. So this traditional tool will have the funnel at the top, and they will have a channel, and there will be a sharp edge. Whenever the bulls or the oxes, they will be driving this particular traditional tool, this funnel will contain the collection of seeds. The seeds will be collected in the funnel, and once it has started ploughing, when they have started ploughing with the ox or the cattle, the seeds will be dropping. The seeds will be dropping. The seeds will be dropping at the equidistance. They will be dropping at the equidistance, and finally the farmer in the second rotation, he will be covering the seeds with the soil. So when this traditional tool of sowing machine is going on, generally it will be dragged by the whatever the bulls or the ox which were there, they will be dragging, and the seeds will be dropping at equal distance. Finally, in the second round, the coverage of the mud or the material will be done so that the seeds will be properly covered in order to avoid from the loss of germination or the loss of moisture or death. So that is a time taking process, so they will be using this seed driller. This seed driller is nothing but it's a mechanical part or the mechanical machine where the seeds will be drawn, where the seeds will be sown at equal distance uniformly, and in a proper depth. Okay, whatever this seed driller is there, this will be tied to the tractor, and when the whatever the funnel is there, the funnel will be filled with the seeds, and when the tractor is going on, this the seeds will be placed as a equal distance in a proper depth, and finally even they will be covered with the soil. They will be even covered with the soil, and this machine will be doing the sowing of the soil. That is, it will be doing the whatever the preparation of the soil for the sowing of the sowing of the seeds, and after the sowing of the seeds in a proper distance, in a proper depth, then the covering of the soil is also done by the seed driller itself. So that is the thing actually. And coming to the activity, basically some seeds, some plantation or some plants will require the they will be required the use of the seeds in the main crop or main area or main field. Okay, main field. Okay, seeds are directly used in the main field, but some plantation or some crops will be, okay, some crops will be basically they needs an attention. For example, if it is in case of paddy, okay, for example, if it is in case of paddy, these crops, the paddy crop, it needs a proper attention before cropping into the main field, or before transferring to the main field. So this whatever the crops are there, basically these crops are nothing but they require an attention in the nursery, and after they have been took over in the nursery and they have been taken care in the nursery, then they will be transferred on to the proper main field. Okay, they will be transferred into proper main field. That has to be, that is nothing but the role of the nursery. So generally we will be again discussing about the sowing of the seeds. Basically it is the second step in case of agriculture. After the preparation of the soil, the second one is the sowing. Sowing is nothing but whatever the crop or the plantation or the cropping methods we are using, for the beginning of the plant to grow, we have to sow the seeds. This is done by means of by means of different kind of traditional tools, and also by means of using the seed drill. In the traditional tool, we will use the ox and the funnel, where there is a when the ox are pulling, the equidistantly the seeds will be dropping and in the proper depth. And coming to seed drill is done, it is tying whatever the machine you are seeing in the screen. This machine is tied to the tractor, and once the tractor has been pulling off, the seeds will be sown in the proper distance, at the proper equal distance, and in a equal depth, in a proper way, and finally they will be even covered by the soil. There is no need for the second round for the coverage of the seeds with the soil. So basically that is done. And what is the simple method of knowing the seeds? We know the seeds are important for the plant, because whatever you are trying to give, if the seeds are imperfect, or the seeds are duplicate, or the seeds are not having the proper germination capacity, you cannot get the proper yield. So whatever the seeds we are selecting, the farmer has to basically, he has to go to the vendor who is like a beneficial kind of person, and also he has to choose the good variety of the which crop he has to select, which out of which seeds he has to select the good quality, good variety of seeds should be chosen for the plantation purpose. At the same time, apart from the choosing, basically one of the basic and the very traditional way of knowing the seeds quality is by taking the beaker basically, and adding the beaker with the seeds. The seeds which are very heavier, they are good quality, good variety, and they are having the herb, mostly the percentage of germination. The percentage of germination is very much in the bottom of the beaker, whereas the top layer of the beaker, which is containing the water, this layer of the beaker is basically occupied by the seeds which are very poor in the condition. Okay, now coming to this next one is the manure and the addition of manure and fertilizer. Okay, coming to the addition of manure and fertilizer, basically if in case of cropping or the plantation, in case of nature, if you see their nature will have their own terms of providing the nutrients to the plant. But when you are coming to the plantation or agricultural process, which is an artificial way of synthesizing the food by controlling the factors and also controlling the cropping nature, basically it's a very important thing to provide the manure and the fertilizers. This the basic way of the important thing why we are providing the fertilizers and the manure is nothing but it has to be providing the nutrients rich to the soil, so that the cropping will be done properly. So coming to the manure and the fertilizers, these are the substances which will increase the nutrient. They will increase the nutrients richness will be increased in the soil, and this is very good for the growth of the crop, and also ultimately yield of the crop can be increased. So whatever the manure and the fertilizers are, they are very important for the growth of the plant. They will be supplying the mineral nutrients, like they will be supplying the nitrogen, phosphorus, potash, magnesium for the growth of the plant. So whenever the people are doing, whenever you are observing the continuous cultivation of the crops in the same field, so in some of the other time you can see the deficiency of the nutrients, and there is a loss of the yield, and also less growth is observed in case of plantation or the crops. So that is done. In order to avoid this one, basically the farmers will be using the manure and the fertilizers. So now we will come to the topic. Now we will be coming to the topic where basically we try to see the difference between the manure and the fertilizer. Basically, manure is an organic substance. It's an organic substance basically. Okay, it can be basically an organic substance, and it is added to the agriculture field much earlier before the start of the season. So the manure can be cow dung, it can be the poultry waste, or it can be the poultry waste, or whatever it may be. So whatever the excretion of the animals, is very rich in kind of minerals like ammonia and the phosphorus. This manure will be taken into the agricultural field, and basically they will be spilled onto the agriculture field, and they're left for the duration, so that they can be released. They will be releasing the minerals into the soil. So coming to the fertilizers, basically the fertilizers are when the manure is organic, the fertilizers are nothing but they are chemicals. Okay, the fertilizers are the things which are synthesized in the factories. They are made by the factories. They are the chemicals, they are chemical components, and for example these fertilizers are different from the manure basically in terms of their chemical nature. Coming to the fertilizers, they are made up of made by the factories, and basically for example urea, super potash, super phosphate, NPK, and also ammonium sulfate. These are the different kind of chemical fertilizers. So this is the difference between the manure and the fertilizers. So when both are providing the nutrients to the mineral nutrients to the plant, why we have to have the both? We can have the one, but what is the explanation behind of using the manure and fertilizers? If you are seeing the fertilizers, basically the fertilizers are the chemical components which were made by the factories. Basically these fertilizers will have only one mineral nutrients in them. For example, urea will have the ammonia. Okay, so they will have only one ingredient in them. That is the one thing, as well as one of the drawback. And another one is when you are constantly using these fertilizers, there is excess of use of fertilizers leads to the loss of the fertility of the soil. So we should avoid the excess use of fertilizers in case of crop or the plantation. So that is the basic thing. As well as coming to the fertilizers, basically they will remove the soil fertility, they will imbalance the pH of the soil, soil fertility will be removed. Okay, soil fertility will be removed, they will imbalance the pH of the soil, so the soil will become acidity or it becomes basic. So there is no proper growth in the soil when continuously we are using the chemical fertilizers, and also there is only single kind of mineral nutrients will be present in the fertilizers. Coming to the replacement of the fertilizers, why it has to be done with the manure. Manure, basically it will be like, manure will increase the soil texture, it will increase the soil texture, whereas the fertilizers will make the soil very kind of rough, and it will be decreasing the porous nature, it will decreases the fertility and the texture of the soil. Whereas the manure will increase the soil fertility by increasing the porous nature, they will increase the texture, they from being a very amorphous or the powdery form as in case of fertilizers, this will create the manure will be making the manure whatever is added to the soil, it will be making the soil very porous, and the texture of the soil will be very equal to the natural one, and also they will increase the water retention. Okay, they will be increase the water retention of the soil capacity, that will be done. And also there will be much more improve in the soil nature. Okay, there will be much more increase in the soil nature, that is in terms of water retention, that is the retention of the soil water, as well as texture of the soil. And the manure, basically it will decrease the soil erosion. Soil erosion is nothing but removal of the soil upper layers. Frequently when you are doing with the agricultural practices like ploughing, sowing, everything, the upper part of the soil will be removed. That is called as soil erosion. Basically, if you are trying to use the manure, this manure basically it will decrease the soil erosion, and this soil erosion will be decreased because the manure will be acting as a binding agent of the soil particles, so that they will be bound together as a glue, so that it can be removed. It cannot be removed by ploughing or the sowing. So in order to avoid this soil erosion, basically the soil erosion can be avoided by means of crop rotation. Okay, by means of crop rotation. What is crop rotation? Basically, if you are doing with the if you are using one seasonal crop, if you are using the field for paddy, that is rice field. Okay, if you are using the field for the rice or the paddy cultivation in one season, then that should be replaced by the pulses. Okay, in this way, in this manner of alteration in the cropping pattern or alteration in the crops, basically by one crop of one season with the other crop in the other season, basically this will increase the fertility of the soil. Okay, this will increase the fertility of the soil, and the soil is very better and best when compared to soils which are having only mono kind of plantation. So this fertility will be increased, and while this fertility will be increased only by means of practicing basically the crop rotation or alternate crop rotation, or alternate rotation of the crop or plantation, which is done basically with one season of one crop and replaced with the other season with the other crop. That is to avoid the soil erosion and to increase the soil fertility, as well as in order to increase the ratio of the minerals. Ratio of the minerals means if one crop is using one kind of mineral, the other crop will be using the other kind of mineral. So in order to avoid the depletion of the minerals in the soil, and again there is a double process of addition of the minerals, so basically the agricultural fields are used in such a way that one crop will be using the one minerals. So when you're removing the crop and adding other crop in other season, the other crop will be using much of other minerals. So there is a balance of minerals, or there is a time for the replacement or replenishing of the minerals. Basically, apart from this, using all these techniques of using the fertilizers, manure, and also the advantage of the manure and also the crop rotation, basically there is another method called as that is biofertilizers. What is biofertilizers? Basically, biofertilizers is nothing but you are using the entire microorganism. For example, you are using the rhizobium bacteria. The culture of the rhizobium bacteria is used as a biofertilizers in order to fix the nitrogen, in order to use the nitrogen by the roots of the leguminous plants. Leguminous plants are the plants which are like pulses plants. The plants which are having belonging to pulse family, pulses and also groundnuts. These families generally you make use of a bacteria called as rhizobium bacteria, and this the function of the rhizobium bacteria is to take the nitrogen from the atmosphere and basically and convert into ammonia, and this ammonia is utilized by the plant. So coming to the advantage of the manure, what we discussed, basically the advantage of the manure or the cow dung or the poultry excretion is basically they will increase the crop water holding capacity, and they will increase the porous nature of the soil so that they will have proper aeration and air for the purpose, and basically they will increase the number of the useful bacteria or the beneficial bacteria will be increased. And now coming to the texture of the soil, the texture of the soil will be very porous and very kind of lively when compared to the whatever the soil which is done with the chemical fertilizers. So basically we are coming back to the summary of the topic. The summary of the topic is the addition of the manure and the addition of the fertilizers to the crops. Basically, when you are going for the cropping or the plantation, in nature, the nature will look into all the requirements of the plants. But when you are doing the cropping, that is in a large scale, you have to add the minerals, or the mineral nutrients should be added to the land so that whatever the crop has taken the minerals, those can be replaced in the soil for the next round or next cycle of the plantation or the cropping. So basically we will discuss about what are the minerals. Basically the soil mineral nutrients are nothing but they are phosphorus, potash, whatever the magnesium and nitrogen and urea. These will provide the mineral nutrients to the soil. So there is much difference between the manure and the chemical fertilizers. These both are the intentions of improving the crop yield and the crop production. But fertilizers or the chemical fertilizers, basically they are synthesized by the industries. They are the chemical in nature, they are synthetic in nature, and also they are like urea, phosphorus, potash, NPK and super potash and nitrogen, ammonium sulfate. And these are the chemical fertilizers. But basically the farmers, once or the other while, they have to show the interest of using the manure in order to avoid the soil erosion, and also in order to increase the proper soil texture, and in order to avoid the pH of the soil, which is alteration of the pH of the soil, so that the soil should not be very basic and the acidic, so that the crop production will be properly done. So the basic and one more the basic thing is that the manure will be giving the soil for the water retention. Whatever the water retention is there, the water retention is properly done in the soil which are holding the manure. So that is the thing. And coming to the manure and the mineral, the chemical fertilizers, we should have proper usage of chemical fertilizers with a proper knowledge. At the same time, we should also have the knowledge of manure. It is very beneficial, but it's a very time-taking process. And apart from these two things, in order to increase the yield of the crop, basically there is a concept called as crop rotation. Crop rotation is nothing but with one season, if you are providing the yield, if you are in the one season of the agricultural field, if you are planting one kind of crop, that crop can be replaced by the same kind of that can be replaced by the other kind of crop that will be giving the time for the field, so that it can whatever the minerals which was lost in the previous cropping or previous kind of crop rotation or crop season, that will be replaced by the crop rotation process. And one more thing is that using the rhizobium, which is a very beneficial fungi in order to increase the field, is called as biofertilizers. And these biofertilizers have the ability to convert the nitrogen into the atmospheric nitrogen into the ammonia, which will be used later by the crops. So coming to the advantage of the manure, basically it will increase the soil texture, it will maintain the pH of the soil, and also the water retention will be very good. And also when coming to the soil porous nature, it will be tremendously increased in order to increase the aeration for the minute roots which were coming out of the seeds. And also they will be avoiding the soil erosion. This is the concept of addition of manure and the fertilizers to the field. Next topic is about the irrigation. Generally, whenever if you take plants and animals, even when it is animals or plants, basically whether it's an animal or plants, basically they require the water for the survival, because 90% of plant body is made up of water. Okay, 90% of plant body or animal body is made up of water, and the survival of the plant or animal is completely, mostly, apart from the supplying the minerals, it will be depends on the water. So providing the water, okay, providing the or supplying the crops with the water in a very regular interval. When you are providing the water on the Monday, you should be, for some crops you should provide on the Wednesday, and this supply of the water to the crops or to the plantation in a very regular interval of time is called as irrigation. So basically this irrigation is done in order to avoid the frost and also hot air current. See, whenever whatever the irrigation is done, this irrigation, the pattern of irrigation means how many days we have to keep water after time of interval, after how many days we have to keep the water to the crop, and the plantation is based on the climatic condition and also type of crop and type of soil. The type of soil, type of crop, and the climatic condition, all this will be very important in order to decide the factor. వెళ్తున్నావా? టైం ఒక హాఫ్ అన్ అవర్ అయిపోతుంది. ఆగు, నేను వచ్చేస్తా, అయిపోతుంది, ఏముండదు, ఎందుకంటే పెద్ద టాపిక్స్ ఏం కాదు, అయిపోతుంది, దింపేస్తాను. సరేనా? అయిపోతుందిలే, ఉండు, ఇది కట్ చేయాలి మళ్ళీ. ఉంటావా? ఏంటి సార్, మీ ఇష్టం. Okay, now coming to the next topic, that is irrigation. Irrigation is basically apart from providing the plants with the mineral basic minerals, that is the mineral nutrients, the other thing, important part is the water. So water is the way it will be like 90% of plant body is made up of water. So this whatever the irrigation is the process where in the plantation we are providing the water in a regular interval to the crop in a basic pattern, that is called as irrigation. So this whatever the water we are providing, they help the plant from protection from the frost, that is frost bite, that is low temperature, as well as they will protect from the very hot climate, hot air currents. So basically it is of providing the water to the plantation or the crop. This providing the water to the plantation or the cropping is basically, it is depending upon the season, it depends upon the soil, and it also depends upon the crop which we are opting to plant. So that is the thing. Coming to the source of the plantation, this source of plantation is basically, it can be the wells, rivers, and the ponds, or the tube wells, or the bore wells, that they can provide the water. And this water will be provided in case of that will be provided to the plantation, and that by means of channels. Okay, by means of channel, the water is provided to the crops. So here we are seeing the traditional and also some of the innovative ways where we will be provided for the the water is provided for the crops. So when coming to the water is available, water is taken as a source of water. It can be taken from the wells, lakes and canals, and that will be uplifted by different methods, or different kind of methods are used for uplifting of the water from the wells, canals and the lakes, and finally they will be provided to the fields or the plantation or the crop fields. So these are the different methods. Mode, that is the pulley system. The pulley system is that we will be uplifting the water from the well, and it will be manually by the labor, it will be provided to the plants or the cropping things. Apart from the manual labor, there will be different types, that is they are using the cattles and also human labor for pulling the water from the channels, or pulling the water from the ponds and creating the channels for the cropping or the plantation. So there are different names. For example, chain pump, which is mechanical and electrical part, and another one is the decker, that is nothing but you are using the thread to pull the water in an indirect way and channelizing it to the crops, as well as using the cattle for dragging the for the rotation and the rotation of the buckets and uplifting of the water and adding to the plantation or the crops. So and all, apart from this, there is a use of bore wells and also pumps will be used for the drawing the water and adding to the crops. And some of the basic and modern methods where we are trying to use, and very best of things to be used in nowadays in the plantation or the cropping, is nothing but moderation methods like sprinklings. Basically, the motor will be fixed to the water system. This motor will be drawing the water, and after drawing the water, this water will be added to the crops by means of pipes. And after this, there is an pipe which is like they will be provided in the field. This field, whatever the field, okay, now coming to the topic called as modern method of irrigation. The modern method of irrigation is the sprinkler system. In the sprinkler system, the pump will be taking the water from the well, and by the piping system, it will be provided to the field. In the field, basically, the field will be consisting of the tubes in the upright position, and they will have the nod, or they will have a screw in the top position. When the pump is pushing the water will be sprinkled onto the surface of the field, that is agricultural field. That is the sprinkler system. There is a nozzle or nozzler is present at the top of the pipe, which will be sprinkling the water on the pressure. Because of the pressure of the water, it will be sprinkling the water onto the surface of the field. Another one is the drip system. Basically, this system, there is a pump as it is. This pump will draw the water from the well, and this water will be provided to the field by the tube, water tube. This water tube will be providing the water to the agriculture field in a very specific manner of addition of each, and one by one the drops will be added to the field and to the agricultural field, and they in a very regulated manner. This will be avoiding the wastage of the water. So basically, when you are discussing about the irrigation is the process where the water is provided in a regular interval to the cropping, or the crops will be provided with the regular interval of water in a regular time or in a regular interval. And this providing the water to the crops is done basically on a regular interval or regular manner. The factors which are deciding the whatever the desire. Okay, the factors which are involved in deciding the time length or a time interval for the irrigation is like, it will be based on the soil type, the type of the soil, the type of the crop, and the type of the prevailing whatever the climatic conditions are there. These three will decide the time interval between the water or water supply from one water supply to other water supply. The day interval will be decided mostly by the crop, climate, and the whatever the type of the climate, type of the crop, and also rate of evaporation. So that is basically. When coming to the source of irrigation, basically we can draw the water from the rivers, dams, and also ponds and lakes, that is by means of channel. The channels are provided, the water channels, they will draw the water from the water bodies. And coming to the traditional method of irrigation, basically the traditional method of irrigation where there's a pulley system. This pulley system, basically it's a use of labor or the animal. Basically they will draw the water from the water bodies, that is wells, rivers, and also channels, water channels, and different kind of water channels are used. Basically this will be used in drawing the water and supplying the water to the agricultural fields. And coming to the modern method of irrigation, it's two systems are there. One is the sprinkler system, another one is the drip system. Sprinkler system is one which will be provided with the pump, and the water is supplied in such a way that the whatever the pipe is there, it will be uplifted like this, and the water pressure will be hitting the nozzle, and the nozzle will be sprinkling the water into the agricultural field. The basic method, and another one is the drip system. The drip system is basically it will be the entire agricultural field is laid down by the piping system, and this will be providing the water to the agricultural field. And this will be like useful in the areas where there is a very drought prevailing condition, there is shortage of water, and very arid kind of very high temperatures is present in the climate. That will be useful for the drip and the sprinkler system. And the main method of water, not even useful for the survival, it's also useful for the plant to protect it from the frost, as well as to protect it from the, basically it is used to protect the crop from the frost, as well as from the hot temperature or hot air currents. Okay, now coming to the weeds. Basically weeds are the things which are very undesirable for the growth. See, when you are seeing the plants like plantations like wheat and paddy, okay, when you are seeing the very vast plantation of wheat and paddy, this field, the wheat field, basically it will have all the wheat plantations in the agriculture field. Apart from this wheat or the paddy cultivation, there is unwanted plants will be growing in between the agricultural fields. These unwanted plants are called as weeds. Okay, they are called as weeds. The undesirable or unwanted plants are called as weeds. So in order to remove the weeds, why we have to remove the weeds? Because they can decrease the yield, because they will have the competition with the main crop. So they will have very much, they are involved in the competition with the main crop, that is the agricultural field. In the agriculture field, they will be competing with the main crop. So basically we have to remove the weeds, as well as that is they are competing for the mineral nutrients, and they will be competing for the light, space, and the mineral nutrients. You know, when you remove the weeds, there is a better option for our field to increase their production. So it is needed for the removal of the undesirable or unwanted plants from the agricultural fields. Apart from this will be done by means of kurpi. In a traditional way, it will be done by the kurpi, and in modern way, it will be done by the seed drill. Seed drill, what we shown in the last topic, that seed drill will be plowing away the unwanted or undesirable plants will be plowed away. And the best time is nothing but to remove the weeds before the flowers and the seeds. See, when the crop is at the initial stage, before the starting of the crop only, it's better to manage the weeds. This will be done so that the cropping will not be affected. At the same time, the removal of the weeds will be done in such a way that the seed before the flowering and before the seedling seedling or before the formation of the seeds of the weeds has been happened, before that part only, if you are removing the weeds, then there is no question of reoccurring of the weeds, and there is no question of appearing of the weed seeds in our food material or the food crops or food grains. Why to avoid this? Because in order to protect our animals and the humans, sometimes the weed seeds can be very harmful for our health. So the manual method is by kurpi and the seed drill to remove the weeds, and the chemical method is using the weedicides. Weedicides like 2,4-D. 2,4-D is a chemical that is a weedicide which is used to remove the weeds or the unwanted, undesirable crops from the undesirable plants from our crops. So whatever the 2,4-D is there, the 2,4-D is basically, it's a chemical agent or the weedicide which is useful in removing the unwanted plants or undesirable plants from the agriculture field or agriculture crops. So now we will go with the summary. Basically, the protection of the crops from the weeds is nothing but we should know what are the weeds. Basically, the weeds are the undesirable crops or plants which will grow in the Coming to the summary of the protection from the weeds. Basically, weeds are the unwanted plants or unwanted whatever the elements or growing part which is present in the agricultural field. We have to protect the plants or the crops from the unwanted plants or the weeds. So why the weeds has to be removed? Because in order to remove the competition for the mineral nutrients and also provide the proper spacing and also sunlight, and also to avoid the competition between the weeds which are the unwanted plants and the crop of our main plant. So this will be done basically by the manually kurpi, by the using the manually by means of using a human labor, and also using some seed drills. That is, the seed drill is attached to the tractor, and it will be plowed onto the or through the agriculture field in order to remove the weeds. And it also be done by the chemical agents like weedicides, that is 2,4-D. This 2,4-D will be sprayed onto the crops so that whatever the weeds are there, this weed will be die, and that will be not affecting the crop or the main crop, and the weeds will be dying, and we can later on they can be removed by the manually, or it can be removed by means of picking or plucking by means of hands. So this is about the weeds. So coming to the next topic, that is the storage. Once when we are done with the preparation of the agricultural land and sowing and taking care of proper management of the crop by means of irrigation and also providing the weedicides, fertilizers, manure, finally it is the time to take the harvesting. Okay, harvesting is the process where when the plant is attending a maturation, or it is attending a particular time or a particular maturation stage, the plantation will be cutting down the plantation will be cut down by means of labor or manual, or the manual labor, or by means of using some harvester. That will be done. Okay, so that whatever the plantation is there, that will be taken away by the farmer. Okay, basically, and basically if you are seeing especially in case of paddy, in case of paddy, the seeds, the process of removal of the seeds from the plant material is called as threshing. Threshing is nothing but it's the process of removing the edible part of the plant which is for the human consumption, and removing the non-edible part like grass material aside, that is called as threshing. The threshing can be done in major or different ways. One is the combi. Combi is the instrument, or it is a tractor kind of machine where it will be doing the harvesting. Okay, there it will be doing the harvesting, that is the cutting down of the mature plant or the mature crop, and another one is where it is doing the threshing. Threshing is nothing but removal of the edible part of the plant from the entire plant body. That is done by means of combi. Okay, And the farmers who are having very small kind of agricultural land, these farmers are using the winnowing. Okay, winnowing is nothing but it's a process. It's a manual or it can be electrical process. It's, as you seen, it's a drum kind of process. This winnowing is done so that whatever the plant material you are adding by the from the top, that plant material will be properly subjected to the mechanical friction or mechanical force, and whatever the edible part will be collected at the at the bottom of the soil. So this is called as winning. So when you are coming to the we will summarize about the harvesting. Basically, harvesting is the process where we are engaged in removing the crops that is a mature of the crop after the crop has attained a maturation time or maturation stage. Those crops will be basically removed from the agricultural land, and this process of removing the removing the mature plants from the agricultural field is called as harvesting. Basically, it will be done by means of harvester. So there is a machine which will be cutting down the whatever the plant material, the mature plant material is done, or it can be used by means of sickle. The sickle also used by means of human labor, or the manually the sickle can be used, or harvester can be used to remove the mature plants from the agricultural field. As well as there is a process called as threshing, where the edible part of the plant is removed from the entire plant material. Okay, the harvesting and the threshing will be done by one instrument called as combi. Okay, apart from this, basically the small farmers will be using the instrument called as winnowing. This instrument is basically it can be done mechanically or by means of belt system electrically, and here it will be here there will be like the addition of plant material from the top position, and there will be rotation of the drum, and because of this mechanical part, the whatever the seeds are there, they will be removed from the the plant body. That is nothing but the harvesting. Okay, the final part in the entire crop production and the management is the storage. Basically, when you are going with the storage, it's very important in order to maintain the yield of the crop. Until and unless you are having a proper storage, the yield which you are done with the tons and metric tons of yield which you are obtained in the agriculture field, if you are not having the proper storage, that improper storage will lead to the degradation of the food and the loss of the agricultural food, or the loss of the whatever the yield which we produce by the farmer. So it should be very keen that the country as the demand for the food supply is growing on, as there is increase in the whatever the crop production is taking place, there is increase in the crop production, there is increase in the demand because of the green revolution which has happened in the country. Sometimes we can see in the news that saying that there can be a shortage of grain, there is a shortage of the grain storage, or there is a shortage of food storage which is taking place. Because of the shortage of the food storage, there can be decrease in the food content, or they can be decrease in the food supply, because if there is not properly stored, they can be subjected to insects, moisture. The moisture can spoil the crop. Insects can eat away, insects can spoil, rats and the microorganisms entirely, they can be spoiling the whatever the food which was synthesized by which were produced by the farmers. They can be degraded by the degraded if there is no proper storage has been taken place. So basically the storage will be done before the storage, the moisture should be removed. Okay, the moisture as possible as moisture should be removed from the food or the food grains or the whatever the material which is going to be stored. They should be stored in a very properly ventilated, dry and away from the moisture, away from the humidity, away from the climatic factors. They should be stored in a very properly in a closed container or a very good container which can avoid the pest like rats and the rodents. Apart from that, facing the problems of moisture and also microorganism which can spoil the food grains. So basically it will be done in whatever the godowns which we observe in the, these are the storage, these are the godowns or the storage of the grains where they're taking place. The storage of the grains are the godowns of the grains where the grains will be stored away from the moisture and also other climatic conditions. They are called as granaries. Granaries or the godowns. Granaries or the godowns is the where all the conditions are properly maintained for the storage of the food material. This is about the storage. So when coming to the storage, basically the storage, if the storage is done so that it can be used for the betterment in the long run. It can be done, or the storage is done in such a way that the plant material should be useful for a longer period of time, and it can be useful for the human consumption. In order to avoid from the unwanted spoilages, basically the moisture should be removed in by means of mechanically or by means of desiccator or subjecting to the sunlight. The moisture should be removed so that it can be keep away from the attack of the microorganisms, and also it should be properly stored, properly guarded and ventilated in order to avoid the entry of the animals or the pest or the rats. So, and this will be done, the storage will be done basically in the godowns or the granaries, where all the precautions are taken place in order to avoid the spoilage of the food grains. And final topic is basically food from the animals. Basically till now we discuss about the food which we obtain from the agriculture, whether it may be vegetables, fruits, or it may be like food grains, pulses. Everything what we obtain is nothing but the food from the plants. Now we will be discussing about the food from the animals. Basically, what is animal husbandry? Animal husbandry is nothing but if you are growing same kind of animals like goats, 10 to 12 goats or 10 to 12 cows or buffaloes together in a controlled environment, maintaining them properly and looking the maintenance of the health, providing the food and water, and obtaining the milk, meat, and for the production of eggs, meat, and everything which is done at a one particular place in a very controlled and well maintained manner, that is called as animal husbandry. So this should be done in order to the factors like providing food and water and shelter properly and surroundings properly in order to save the animal from the climate. It's much needed for the growing demand nowadays in the country. There is a growing demand nowadays for the animal food like eggs, water, milk and milk dairy products, milk and milk products, and also meat. There is increased production as there is an increase in the population. So there is a much more vast requirement for the animal husbandry, where all the animals which are meant for the meat, eggs, and milk and milk products demand, they can be maintained properly. Okay, coming to the summary or overall summary of the topic, the agricultural practices or the way it's a day-to-day routine life of the farmer. So coming to the vastness of vast country in terms of area, basically there is a difference in the climate, there is a difference in the climatic conditions and also soil, and also different crop patterns. Different crops are cultivated in different areas. Basically there are two seasons in the India or in our country, that is Kharif season and the Rabi season. Kharif is the rainy season where the water adequate plants like groundnut, maize will be planted and also paddy, and Rabi season is the season where there's between the winter and the summer, where the crops like wheat and maize and grams, that is the pulses, were grown, which there is no huge requirement of the water is needed. So basically the agricultural practices will include the preparation of soil, that is by means of tilling or the ploughing, and the tilling and ploughing will be done manually or the traditionally, that is the by means of the plough, and also they can be use of the hoe, which is a mechanical hoe is a mechanical instrument where there is a cultivation or tilling is properly done. The main aim of doing the doing the plowing is nothing but in order to remove the soil from the lower surface to bring to the top surface. The top nutrient soil can be brought, as well as the soil can be loosened up for the plantation, and also there is a betterment of aeration, and also water can be evenly distributed in the fields. Apart from this traditional way, there is a cultivator which is used. This is cultivator, the instrument which is driven by the whatever the tractor. It will be useful in loosening the soil and the proper for the proper plantation in the soil. And coming to the sowing, sowing is nothing but it is the way whatever the plants which you want to cultivate, those plants will be supplied in the form of seeds. These seeds are the starting material for the crops and the plantation to be going on in the early in the later stages of the plantation process. So in this we will basically have the traditional method. This traditional method is basically because there is a ox or the bulls which will be tied with the funnel, and there's a rod where this the main aim of this traditional method, or it may be like other seed drill method. The seed drill is that nothing but it is been tied neither to the ox or it will be tied to the tractor. Basically this seed drill and the traditional method is to place the seeds in equal distance, in equal depth, in equal distance, and finally they will be covered by the soil in order to protect from the whatever the exhaustion of the moisture, or to protect from the predators like birds or the insects. So basically that is the procedure of planting the planting. So that is done basically. And coming to the manure and fertilizers are basically whether it's a manure or fertilizers, they are utilized to improve the mineral nutrients in the soil. Coming to the fertilizers, they are chemical in nature, produced in the factories, and basically they are having only one mineral nutrients in the abundant, and everything will be lacking. So, and in these chemical fertilizers will be decrease the soil fertility, soil erosion can be taking place, soil pH will be altered, soil texture will be damaged in the long term. So in order to avoid this one, manure is used to maintain the soil texture, to maintain the moisture of the soil, to have the proper moisture retention, the water retention, and also to maintain the aeration, and also make the beneficial organism like microorganisms and also beneficial organism like earthworm to grow in the soil and maintain the fertility of the soil in a long term. Apart from this, the scientists, whatever the farmers, they are using the manure and the fertilizers, they are using the vermicompost, which is a excretory material of the earthworm. And also there is an basically we can see basically there is an usage of the bacteria, that is the rhizobium, which will be improving the plant by means of biological nitrogen fixation. This will be done, this is basically done for the using the nitrogen and converting into ammonia. So this is basically about the manure and the fertilizers, and whatever we discuss about the advantage of manure, we can see here. And coming to irrigation, irrigation is the process of supplying the water to the crops in a regular interval, is called as irrigation. So this irrigation pattern can be different from different fields to different field. It can even basically it depends upon the soil, nature of the soil, and the type of the crop which you are using for the plantation, and also the climatic condition. These are three basic things which will be deciding the irrigation pattern or irrigation process. The source of irrigation, basically it may be lakes, ponds, and the rivers, where the channels can be created for drawing the water from the water bodies to the plantation purpose. And basically there are many traditional methods where we will be using the human labor, or it may be using some kind of mechanical methods like pumps, which are used to drill the water from the ground level, that is whatever the borewell pumps, they are useful, and the pumps which will be drawing the water from the channel. These different pumps and the different varieties are useful to pull the water from the channels or the bodies into the plantation or the cropping area. As well as there is two different modern methods. One is sprinklers. Basically, if you see in any garden or in the any plantation, whatever the flowering plantation, there's a sprinklation of the water will be taking place. This sprinkle of the water is done in order to avoid the evaporation of the water, avoid the evaporation from the crop or the plantation, as well as in order to keep the hydration of the plant, and also the whatever the climatic condition is there, it will be dropped into much more level or lower level. And coming to drip system, basically the drip system is that the pump which is drawing the water from the well or the water channel, it will be drawing the water and it will be distributed by means of pipes, and the pipes to the different to the field. And this for the regular interval, if you are operating the drip system, there is a saving of the water can be done, and also the proper, there is no point of drying up of the agriculture field. Regularly the dripping system will be providing the water drop by drop, drip by drip, drip by drip, it will be provided, drip by drip it will be provided to the agricultural field in order to avoid the drought or the drying conditions, where the farmers cannot afford the huge water bodies for supplying to the agricultural field. Now coming to the protection from the weeds. Basically weeds are the unwanted plants which will grow in the agricultural field. Basically we have to remove the fields, we have to remove the weeds from the agricultural fields. This will be done basically okay. Protection from the weeds. Weeds are the unwanted plants that will be removed from the plantation. Okay, and weeding is the process of removal of the weeds or unwanted plants from the cropping or the agricultural fields. This will be done by means of chemical method, or it can be done manually by kurpi, or the seed drill can be utilized manually, or by means of using the tractor we can remove or uprooted the weeds. This has to be done because these weeds will be having the competition with our main crop in case of mineral nutrients, sunlight, water, and also in the space. So they have the competition. Apart from this, the weeds will be having the seeds which will be contaminating our main crop seeds. This can be very hazardous for the animals and also human consumption. So basically the best time to remove the weed is before the flowering and before the seed formation in the weeds. That will be done. And also one more best idea is that ploughing vigorously before the plantation of the main crop, and removing the weeds one time before the cropping is done as a process of protection from the weeds in the process of protecting the crop plants. Now coming to harvest. Harvest is nothing but when the crop is attaining the maturation stage, the removal of the crop, cutting or down of the crop is called as harvesting. This harvesting can be done manually by the main labor or the human resource, that is by means of sickle, or it can be used by the harvester, which will be the machine which will be chopping down the plant body. And it will be laying down in the agricultural field. The process of removing the edible part of the grain from the plant body is called as threshing. This threshing can be done by means of combi, which is a mechanical huge tractor kind of mechanical things which will remove it will cut down the crop in the agricultural field. At the same time they will be removing the edible part from the not edible part. That is done by the combi, which is a machinery part. And apart from this, there is a winnowing. Winnowing is used by the farmers which are having very small lands, and they can be operated mechanically by the hand or by the electrical thing. When you are adding the plant material from the topper part of the machine, that will be rotated, and by means of mechanical force the seeds will be dropping on the soil or the it will be dropping on the floor. And now finally coming to the, now till now it is about the crop production and management, and the final very important management is the storage. Basically the storage should be very perfect. It should be done in the godowns or granaries where there is appropriate conditions should be provided. Before the storage, the moisture should be reduced less than 90%, so that the whatever the food material is there, it not be attacked by the microorganism. Apart from this, the care should be taken so that the rats, rodents, and also other animals or the pests should not access the storage area. They should be very well sealed, and also they should be avoided from the climatic conditions like humidity, and also they should be avoided from the moisture, humidity, and direct sunlight should be avoided, and the proper maintenance should be done. Okay. And apart from this, now till now we have discussed about the food material and the growth of the crops, how we obtain from the animals. Now we will discuss of the about the food from the animals. Basically we will obtain the milk and milk products, meat, and also dairy products, and also eggs and different kind of wool will be obtained from the animals. Growing the same kind of animals in a proper regulated manner, providing the food and shelter, and taking care of their health, and whatever the maintenance is required, if it is done in a large scale, it is called as animal husbandry. This is done so that to meet the global need for the meat, eggs, and also the milk and the milk products, that is the dairy products demand, which is growing day to day life. The global needs, whatever the global needs are there, that should be satisfied by means of means of maintaining very good practice of animal husbandry. Thank you for the day.